art of doing twice the work in half the time. A story of how work can actually work. For most people, work feels strangely inefficient. Meetings fill calendars. Emails pile up. Plans grow longer and more detailed. Yet somehow, projects still run late, budgets explode, and the final result often disappoints everyone involved. It raises a troubling question. If so many intelligent people are working so hard, why does so much work produce so little value? This book begins with a bold claim. The way the world works is broken. But before explaining the solution, the story starts with a failure. The project that almost failed. In 2010, the FBI faced a serious problem. Inside the bureau, agents were still using a computer system designed decades earlier. Much of their work depended on paper documents. Reports were printed in multiple copies. Agents circled important words with red pens before filing them into databases. Information moves slowly. And when information moves slowly, dangerous things can happen. After the attacks of September 11th, investigators discovered that important clues had existed inside the FBI before the attack. But the system could not connect them. Different offices held different pieces of information. No one saw the whole picture. The solution seemed obvious. Build a modern digital case management system. But that solution turned into a disaster. The FBI spent $170 million developing a system called Virtual Case File. After years of work, it delivered nothing. No usable software. The project collapsed. Determined to fix the problem, the Bureau launched a second effort called Sentinel. A major contractor received the job. Teams of engineers carefully planned every detail. They created massive planning charts showing every step of the project. These charts looked impressive. Color-coded timelines, thousands of tasks. Every dependency mapped out months and years into the future. The plan seemed perfect. But reality had other ideas. After spending $405 million, the project was only halfway finished. Independent analysts predicted it would require 6 to 8 more years and hundreds of millions more dollars. At that point, two leaders inside the FBI made a radical decision. They canceled the traditional approach. They cut the development team from hundreds of contractors to a small internal group. And they adopted a new method called Scrum. Instead of planning everything years in advance, the team worked in 2-week cycles. Every 2 weeks, they built something real. Not reports. Not documents. Working software. Then they showed it to real users. Agents tested the system. Analysts provided feedback. Leaders saw exactly what had been built. Every 2 weeks, the team learned something new. Then they adjusted and continued. Within 20 months, the system was finished. The most difficult half of the project had been completed in less than a fifth of the time, and for a fraction of the cost. That success revealed something important. The old system had not failed because the people were incompetent. It failed because the way people were working was wrong. The real problem. For decades, organizations relied on a planning method called waterfall. The idea seemed logical. First, define every requirement. Then design the solution. Then build it. Then test it. Then release it. Each stage flows neatly into the next, like water flowing down a waterfall. Managers loved this method because it created the illusion of control. If the plan is detailed enough, nothing should go wrong. But complex work does not behave that way. Reality changes. Problems appear. Customers change their minds. New opportunities emerge. When rigid plans collide with changing reality, the result is almost always the same. Delays. Frustration. Waste. Scrum was designed to solve that problem. Instead of trying to predict everything in advance, Scrum focuses on something much simpler. Learn faster than the problem changes. The origins of Scrum. The ideas behind Scrum came from surprising places. One influence came from fighter pilots. Jeff Sutherland, one of Scrum's creators, had flown combat missions in Vietnam. Pilots survived by following a rapid decision cycle called OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act. Pilots constantly absorbed information from their environment, made decisions quickly, and adjusted their actions. Then they repeated the cycle again and again. Another influence came from robotics. At MIT, roboticist Rodney Brooks built machines that learned to walk using simple rules. Instead of controlling every movement from a central brain, each part of the robot adapted to its surroundings. The robot improved through constant feedback. Another inspiration came from manufacturing. After World War II, statistician W. Edwards Deming helped Japanese companies transform their production systems. His principle was simple: improve continuously. Plan. Do. Check. Act. Repeat. Companies like Toyota adopted this approach and became global leaders in quality and efficiency. Then in 1986, two Japanese researchers studied the world's most innovative companies. They noticed something unusual. The most successful teams did not work in rigid stages. They worked together like players in a rugby scrum, passing the ball back and forth while moving forward as a unit. That image gave Scrum its name. By this point, 3 ideas had emerged. Learn quickly from real results. Work together as small, flexible teams. Improve continuously. Those 3 ideas became the foundation of Scrum. The power of small teams. Many organizations believe success depends on hiring brilliant individuals. But research shows something surprising. The biggest differences in productivity appear between teams, not individuals. Studies of thousands of projects reveal that the best teams can be thousands of times more productive than the worst ones. Why? Because great teams work differently. They share 3 characteristics. First, they have a clear purpose. Second, they are autonomous. They decide how to accomplish their goals. Third, they are cross-functional. The team contains all the skills required to finish the work. But there is another important rule. Small teams work best. When teams grow too large, communication becomes complicated. Every new person multiplies the number of conversations required. Productivity slows. That is why Scrum teams are usually 7 people, plus or minus 2. Small enough to communicate easily. Large enough to contain diverse skills. The rhythm of Scrum. Scrum works through a simple rhythm. Sprint. Review. Improve. Repeat. Work happens in short cycles called sprints, usually lasting between 1 and 4 weeks. During each sprint, the team focuses on a specific set of tasks. Nothing new is added once the sprint begins. At the end of the sprint, the team demonstrates a working result. Stakeholders see exactly what has been built. Then the team asks 2 questions. What did we build? And how can we work better next time? Those answers guide the next sprint. This rhythm creates momentum. Instead of waiting months or years to see results, teams learn continuously. Eliminating waste. One of the most powerful ideas behind Scrum comes from the Toyota production system. Waste is a crime. Many modern workplaces are filled with hidden waste. One example is multitasking. People often juggle several projects at once, but the brain cannot focus on multiple complex tasks simultaneously. Instead, it switches back and forth between them. Each switch costs time and energy. The result is slower progress on every project. Another form of waste is unfinished work. Partially completed tasks produce no value. They sit in limbo, consuming time and resources. Scrum solves this by finishing work completely before moving on. Another form of waste is excessive overtime. Working longer hours might feel productive, but research shows productivity peaks around 40 hours per week. Beyond that point, fatigue causes mistakes. Those mistakes create more work. Sometimes the fastest path forward is simply working smarter, not longer. Scrum eliminates waste by focusing on three principles. Do one thing at a time. Finish what you start. Work at a sustainable pace. Deciding what matters. Another key element of Scrum is prioritization. Every project begins with a long list of possible features. But not all features are equally valuable. Research shows that 80% of value often comes from only 20% of features. Scrum assigns responsibility for prioritizing this work to one person, the product owner. The product owner represents the customer. They decide which features matter most and ensure those features are built first. This approach allows teams to release useful products quickly and gather feedback from real users. Instead of guessing what people want, they learn from reality. The human factor. Perhaps the most surprising insight of Scrum concerns happiness. Traditional management assumes success leads to happiness, but research shows the opposite. Happiness leads to success. People who feel engaged and motivated perform better. They solve problems faster. They collaborate more effectively. Scrum encourages this by giving teams autonomy and transparency. At the end of every sprint, teams hold a retrospective. They discuss what went well and what could improve. Then they choose one small improvement to implement in the next cycle. Small improvements repeated over time lead to extraordinary results. Beyond software. Although Scrum began in software development, its ideas spread quickly. Teachers began using Scrum to organize classrooms. Students formed teams, managed their learning in sprints, and improved their results. Nonprofit organizations use Scrum to develop tools for farmers in developing countries. Government teams adopted Scrum to deliver faster policy improvements. Even companies without traditional managers experimented with self-organizing teams. In each case, the same principles applied. Small teams. Short cycles. Continuous improvement. The final lesson. In the end, Scrum teaches three simple lessons. First, small teams move faster. Second, progress happens through short cycles of learning. Third, when people remove waste and focus on value, extraordinary results become possible. The world of work often feels slow, frustrating, and inefficient, but it does not have to be that way. With the right structure, teams can move quickly. They can learn continuously. They can build things that truly matter. And sometimes they can achieve far more than anyone thought possible.
Thank you for watching. If this content resonated with you, I would appreciate your likes and comments, which help this reach more people who might find it useful.